obviously able to get off to a very quick start, but it feel like once you got the game on your terms that you're able to turn it around from there and put in a good performance?
Yeah, but it took some work. They were hot early, which is what we expected from them. They were really good last week, obviously up at the Gabba, and we were really respectful of what they can do at their best, and for a number of reasons that's more for them to talk about than me. Early in the year they had challenges, so we knew a long way out that they would be a different proposition in round 23 at the SCG than they were earlier in the year, and that's how it looked early. So it took some work to get back on at least sort of level pegging, and once we did that, I thought it was a really strong performance against good opposition. One of those games where you shouldn't pay too much attention to the ladder.
Yeah, like I say, with the ladder, I guess the Swans were, as much as you played that stretch of games against sides already out of finals contention, the Swans have been in good form, beat Lions last week. So did you see this sort of a test to really prove where you're at to the team?
A little bit, but I don't think we needed it. It's a counterfactual that is not worth spending too much time on. But I wouldn't like to imply that if we didn't play well today that it was curtains for us. We don't choose a fixture, obviously, but one thing I will say is we set up our year early on by beating some teams who are up around the top of the ladder. So you can spend a lot of time on it if you like. I don't think we should. I understand why you would in your role, but I think that the thing in front of us today was just forget about what's happened earlier in the year. We were playing a team that we regarded to be capable of beating anyone. And earlier, as I said, that they were really hot, and it took some composure and some resilience to sort of work the game back on our terms.
We included Shannon, he was a big part, especially during that period when I guess you guys were getting the game on your terms from the start.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very good for us for a long time, and is an important part of the way we play. And even today, like Cameron had one of those days where he wasn't the focal point, at least in terms of our scoring, but up the ground we thought was still influential. Now that can be a real problem for you if you've only got one guy who can be that main target deep. So, Shannon, we like him up the ground as well, but today was a day where he was more the target deeper and Jeremy was up the ground, and we thought that worked well.
How did you rate Mark O'Connor's performance on uni?
Yeah, really good. It's just, it's not complicated, that one. We like you, we've watched him play, so you're aware of what he can do, and even last week, it wasn't an outlier, so really hard role. We thought that was a good battle.
Was it just Mark on Isaac as well? You were able to get Errol Goulden and Chabon out again. Can you talk us through that process?
I think I will, but I'm wary of speaking about the opposition too much, full stop, but especially sort of focusing on a few players. Like, everyone knows they've got some really high level players, but they're better than just those 4 or 5 guys. And they put some work into our more defensive minded players. So you've got to expect that as well. I mean, my takeaway would be that it was important in the context of the game, and it was a good battle, or plural, good battles.
How pleased were you with what you're able to do sort of in the movement and transition, getting the ball forward, considering, I think especially clearances probably didn't have it all your own way. I think Swans ended up on top there, but really the ball movement and generating that forward transition was where you guys were able to get on top. Yeah,
well, it was predictable that it was going to be a bit more of a transition game than a stoppage game. But both teams have been good transitioning the ball from D50. I don't know exactly the stats, but both of us in the last month or two have sort of been right up in that area. And the SCG is a ground that's conducive to bouncing the ball out of your D50. Both sides of the ball were going to be crucial. If they got on top there, and they obviously had their moments as well, then we were going to be under pressure. But our capacity to flip the script a little bit and put some pressure on them through that middle part of the game, I thought was important.
There was a little bit of footage of you pre-match looking at the turf at the centre square, kind of maybe shaking your head a little bit, and I know we saw a few players slip sort of throughout the match. What did you make of the surface out there? Did any of the players have anything to say about it?
Just the obvious, that the actual surface looks beautiful. the ryegrass is, quite soft. I know there's been a lot of rain up here, but it's the contrast between quite soft area outside the centre square and then pretty rock hard centre wicket area. That's just not conducive to AFL football. And so the strange part with so much rain is that it's covered all the time, and you've got this baked, it looked like Mumbai out there. So that's for them to work through. But I mean, my position would be, if you think that's optimal for AFL football, you don't understand what's optimal for AFL football. But again, not my concern really. It was my concern today, but I wouldn't read too much into my body language. Like, it's if there was someone filming me when I didn't know, I guess this is my chance to explain it. I wasn't that worried. It was exactly what we expected. We rocked up here yesterday and the centre wicket's covered. Not sure there's much point having a training session the day before when the pitch is covered. It's pretty much the reason we're here.
And Jeremy Cameron's obviously been prolific in recent weeks and perhaps benefited from his teammates helping him out with a few goals here and there. But was there a message today to sort of put that to bed and just focus on the game as it comes, rather than any sort of century or anything like that?
No.
But even late in the game, didn't seem to be any idea of looking for him, despite being 6-7 goals in front.
Yeah, that was overplayed anyway. But again, I don't care what people think. It's not something we talk about internally.
You talked about ladder positions just then. Do you lean into the talk about wanting a top 2 finish and selling for nothing less heading into the final round?
Our ambition is just to win the next game, and I think that would get us a home final. But yeah, no, as I said, like sort of the language around, we won't settle for anything less, it sort of implies that if there was less on the line that we'd try less, and I just don't subscribe to that theory. We should be trying to get every single bit right now.
Thanks.
Thanks.